Before I get started on today's project, I want to say a big thank you to my friend Terry. Terry's a woodworker and a wood turner, and as a wood turner, about the only thing he had turned was pens until recently. He turned the nicest pens I've ever seen, but he told me that he was getting bored with it. And then I got him turned on to segmented turning and bowl turning, and he's a fanatic now, doing very well for just starting. Another one of his hobbies is leatherwork, and he said to thank me for getting him addicted to this little hobby. He made me this belt. Now he's personalized it, it's got my name in it, and it's got a bunch of segmented bowls bracketed by turning chisels. I think it's just awesome, it's beautiful, and with my name on it, it's the only one in the world. There may be others like this, but I highly doubt it. I'm really thrilled with it, Terry. Thank you so much. Now let's get on with today's project. This is the bucket my wife uses for her kitchen scraps. Carrot or potato peelings, onions, whatever she has left over. Then we take it and dump it into the compost bin. Now she wants a lid just to keep it a little less unsightly. So I'm going to turn the lid for it. The handles will be in the way, so I'm just going to make it to fit just inside. And 7 inches maximum, so I will cut the piece of wood to a little over 7 inches, and then as I turn it, I'll test it until it fits in there properly. That's the project for today. Stick around. I've had this lid from an oak toilet seat sitting around in my shop for years. I don't have a clue where I got it anymore, it's been here so long. I'm going to use this to make the lid. First thing I'll do is use the random orbit sander to take the finish off on both sides. Then I'll put it through the drum sander to clean it up. I don't want to put it through the drum sander with the finish because that will just clog up that sanding paper. So that's where I'll start. I'll set my beam compass to a 3 1/2 inch radius, and then I'll transfer that to the oak. Now I'll take this to the bandsaw and cut that out. I'm going to glue this to this glue block by putting a piece of brown paper in between. My friend Terry was just telling me that he did this a couple of times, the first one with great success, and the second time he said it flew apart and his bowl bounced around the shop for a little while. Well, I guess I'm not smart enough to learn from somebody else's mistakes, so I want to try this myself. I have read about it before, seen some videos with other people doing it, looked like they worked out all right. No way of knowing until you try it for yourself. And if you've watched my videos in the past, you know that I sometimes spend more time fixing things and figuring out how to fix them than I do turning. So it's not like I'm not used to it. pencil mark so I can line this up the way it was before. Now I've never tried this before, so I'm going to give it lots of time for that glue to cure. In fact, I'll probably wait until tomorrow to get back to this. For a little extra support, just in case that glue won't hold, I'm putting some hot glue, just a couple of beads. That'll add a little extra security, keep it from flying apart, and yet it should be easy enough to remove that, but just by scraping it off. The first thing I want to do is put a hole right through the center. I'm going to be attaching the knob with a number 8 metal screw. I'm using a 5/32 inch bit because that will allow the screw to go straight through the lid. I'm turning this lid in face grain orientation. This means that the grain is running perpendicular to the beds. If the grain runs parallel to the beds, then it's called end grain orientation. When turning face grain, these straws represent the grain, each individual fiber of the grain in the wood. As you cut, if you try cutting from the end, it's like doing this. There's nothing supporting each fiber as you cut it away. When you get to the end, you'll end up with tear out. So what you want to do is cut from this side across. That way the grain has some support behind it as you're cutting it. And that's what I'll do now when I want to put this taper on here to fit into the pail. I'm now going to drill a recess using an 11/32 inch bit so that the head of the screw will be recessed, countersunk into the lid at the bottom. Go just a little bit deeper. And that should easily take care of that. That should be good. Now I'll use a skew chisel to put in a couple of grooves on the bottom of the lid just for some decoration. Now I'm going to scrape away the hot glue that I put on, and then see how difficult it's going to be to pry this off. The idea of the paper, of course, was to make it easy to do so. We'll see just how well that works. Not bad, worked great. Now it'll just be a matter of scraping off the paper, reverse this, and turn it. Got a little glue block. I'm going to put a hole right through the center. Now from the back side, I'm going to put this screw through and then use that to hold the lid so that it's centered. and I'll put it in here. I'm going to put a dab or two of hot glue around here to hold it solidly, and then I can turn away this paper and contour the lid a little bit. I put some washers in here for spacers because the screw was long enough that it was going to come right through. The next shorter size I didn't have. So I'm going to put a couple of small beads of hot glue around here on the edge. That should keep it from moving. I want this lid slightly domed so that any condensation that might occur on the top will run off and into the bucket rather than collect on there and have the possibility of starting mildew or rot. One of the joys of working with oak is that it's so coarse that turning over the edge can chip it out badly, which it did. I've glued a piece in here. Luckily, it was broken off straight with the grain. Now I'll see if this is going to be able to be cut out of here and fix this. I'll just trim that up a little with a chisel and then resand it. It should be just fine. I put 2 grooves in the top of the lid just like I did on the bottom, but to make it stand out better I sanded some walnut and then put the dust into the grooves and dribbled some thin CA glue into it. Sanded it down to 320 and I think it looks pretty good. I can't really see sanding it any finer than that. This is not an art piece, it's a functional piece. Now I'll take this off of the glue block and then I'll start working on the knob. I have turned the front of the glue blank to 1 inch in diameter. That way, when I put a screw through there and put my blank for the knob on it, I will know when I have turned the back end of the knob to that 1 inch. I won't have to continually measure to get it done, and I'm going to make the top, I'm thinking about 1.5 inches. I'll put that together now, and then I can turn the knob. I have set my calipers to 1 1/2 inch. Now by just touching the left arm and matching it up to the right, I should have the 1.5 inches I want marked so that I can turn it to that. It's actually slightly larger, so I'll go to that and then fine tune it from there. I have the knob turned to the profile I want. Now I will just sand it, and then I'll be back. Well, there you go. Another project finished. Should make my wife happy. I'm happy with it. It's the first time I tried to turn a knob, and I had to figure that out as I went along, so I'm glad it worked out. Hope it gives you an idea for one more little project for you to try. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate your support. Have a great day in your shop and be safe. Thanks for watching.